So let's start our webinar. Since it's already time. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gangmai, currently pursuing my BBA course in the fourth semester from Tetso College.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nawala Roka, currently pursuing my BBA course in second semester from Tetso College.
We are super excited to have you all here. Also excited about the conversation we will get to have today. I welcome you all to another webinar series organized by Commerce and Management Department of Tetso College on a theme striving for excellence and interaction with Tetso College Director. For those who are new, Dot Talks is a platform provided by Tetso College featuring eminent personalities and professionals from different walks of life through interviews, lectures, and discussions on a wide variety of topics ranging from careers, world issues, life lessons, and more.
With being a great speaker and passionate about entrepreneurship, who has a positive attitude, full of ideas, energetic, progressive, we have with us Sir Kulo Lorin. About the speaker, Mr. Kulo Lorin is passionate about entrepreneurship and continuous self-improvement. Prior to joining Tetso College, he was working with Franklin Templeton Investment as supervisor, creative services and transcription, and in the other capacities in the BPO sector. He was currently the chair chapter launch Northeast of Young Indians YI, an athlete of the Confederation of Indian Industries partner, certified financial advisor and channel partner Serpent Wealth, and also the MD ALS IS Coaching Center Dimapur. There are a lot of people, including me, who wants to hear more about Tetso College, the origin, and how it not only survived in the educational market, but it is able to strive for excellency. The journey of Tetso must haven't been easy. The journey must have many ways to teach us and inspire us. So today, we are fortunate to hear the inside story of Tetso and learn about entrepreneurship. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
So without much taking time, let's jump straight to the questions. And I got a few questions, which has been my long curiosity and waiting to hear. So my first question to the speaker is, in 1994, Tetso College was established. As a director of the college, what made the founder think of an educational sector rather than that of the organization? We would like to hear more about it. If you can say more, if you can introduction as your, and if you can answer this question. Sir, are you there? I guess Sir is facing technical problems. We'll wait for a few seconds.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir. Yes, sir. Please go forward. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah. All right. I think, sir, there is an audio problem, which sir is not able to hear. So I will just repeat the word, my word. so everyone can listen to that. So we without wasting much time, we have already gone some few minutes. We have lost already. So we will direct come to the questions for our speaker today. And the first question is: in 1994, Tetso College was established. As a director of the college, what made the founder think of an educational sector rather than that of the other organizations?
Hi guys, so sorry. I think I missed the first part of the speech because the audio wasn't working. So Ningtalo, I think if you were mentioning something earlier, I missed it out. So I just logged back in and I got the first part of the question. I think the question was why education. So anyway, that's our college. As far as our college is concerned, it was founded by my father, Dr. P.S. Loring. And one thing about my father is that he has always been an activist, always been somebody who has been involved at the forefront where people are concerned. And this was shown during his student days, where he was a student leader, during his time in Delhi, where he was the first convener of the Naga people's movement for human rights. And even when we went to the States, he took us all to the US. That's where I began my schooling. Even when we were in the US, my father always wanted to come back. Honestly speaking, with no disrespect to how life is over here, life in the United States of America is significantly more comfortable than it is over here. Um, and it was a lot more comfortable back in the 1980s. Um, in the in the 1980s, you did not even have KFC or any of these fast food chains over here. You didn't have uh, any other brand of vehicles, even in India, except I think Ambassador during that time. So life was quite different in the 80s, and during that time, even from that time, my father always wanted to come back, and that was mostly because he wanted to give back to our people. So when he completed his PhD, he he wanted to come back to Nagaland and do something for his people, and that's what he kept on saying. But while the rest of us in the States, we were quite comfortable over there, and we were like, why don't we just stay back? But my father was determined. He wanted to come back, and so in '91 we returned back to Nagaland. On the way, the moment we reached Kolkata, that was our first experience. I mean, that was our first experience of India after being in the States for so long. And from Kolkata itself, we started complaining and wanted to turn back. Um, we had a terrible experience on the flight. We lost all our luggage, everything like that. And but still, my father was determined. He came back, and that was specifically because he he came back and he got immediately involved in the education sector. He was a teacher before he went to the States. He did completed his PhD. He was in um, Nihu in Northeastern Hill University, Shillong. He was a professor over there. So when he completed his PhD and he came back, the first thing he did was again jump back into education. And from there, he was principal of Elder College for 2 years. That's where he felt that he needed more direct control, where his own ideas could come into being. During this period, at the same time, Nagaland University was also being established. So our college and Nagaland University are actually established in the same year. And so during this period, he was also actually offered a position in Nagaland University, but my father instead decided he would set up his own institute, and that's how college was founded. So during that period, my sister, our family, we had a first-hand experience of how our parents were both managing the college and also managing our family. I mean, parents basically were directly managing everything from the hostel to setting up the college to managing the office, to constructing the buildings that you see today. and at the same time dropping us to school, picking us up. I was probably in class 8 that time, so there was a lot of multitasking from my parents and to give us an education. And so from that time itself, I would say my parents were involving us in the day-to-day activities of the college. So from class 8, 9, we used to help our parents out with paperwork for other things, everything. So we've had, I'd have to say, from childhood, we've had a good experience of exactly what running an institute is like, and at the same time while managing our studies. But from there, I guess me and my sister, all of us, we went on our own paths as we went for higher studies. And that's where from higher studies, I went into corporate, and I started working for BPOs, and I worked outside for about 5 years. It was quite an experience. But there was a lot of work over here. The college was growing, things were needed help, and which is why my father called me back, and then came back, helped my father. At the same time, we have diversified into a few things. I'm also a financial advisor, and we have moved maybe into coaching classes and things like that. But education, I guess the reason why we've stuck to it is because we feel that there is no better profession to actually bring about change in a place. I mean, if we're going to bring about large scale change, then education is probably the way to do it. we'd have we can impact so many people, and because if we're able to even change a way of thinking of somebody, say a student, this student may be able to become somebody and go back and then change the way other people think, in the future. And so I think that, why education, why it's so rewarding, why it's so fulfilling, is just because of its um, potential to create change. And that's why I guess our college's vision is to create a positive impact in the world. And our mission is to empower people towards lifelong excellence, so that our people, people who come over here to Tetso College, or whatever education you take, you empower yourself and you use that education to create a positive impact in society. So that's why I guess, yes, there are many different organizations, there are many different ways, but education, I think there's very few industries or sectors, I guess, that can create large scale change apart from education. And I think that this is what is probably needed more in our society than anything else. And that's why we've been concentrating on education. I hope that answers your question. That's a long answer, I know. So sorry.
Yes, yes, sir. That rightly pointed out that education is one of the biggest scale that to bring changes, which is I totally agree to that. And also in that one speaker, I still remember that one of the Naga speakers in a speech in his speech, I remember that all the Naga students they get to go somewhere else out in Nagaland, that they ask a question, they raise question. So I think our principal, Lawrence, this is a perfect example that to be human can for I see include their station. And again, so I think there were hobbies. So there is story behind naming the college as the college, and who was it? You have done that.
Nicolo, I'm sorry, but the network was quite poor. I couldn't really hear what you were saying.
All right, can you hear me now, sir?
Yeah, it's coming and going.
Hello, hello,
Yeah, yeah. Now
hello,
it's fine.
hello, hello. I think because of the network.
Mhm.
Reputed College has built the giant reputation in Nagaland. But many don't know that the word Tetso is you that for you there were two options. So is there a story behind name college as Tetso College, and whose idea was it? Can you highlight on that?
Okay. So what I heard is that you wanted to know uh, what Tetso College means and whose idea it was, right? So yeah, I mean the Tetso actually comes from a Rengma dialect. It doesn't actually mean top, okay, but it actually means high, okay, which means it's going higher. So my father is the one who came up with this name, but then rather than saying high to put it more of it, he changed it so that he said that Tetso basically signifies top, so that it sort of tells where we want to be, where we want the college to be. So that's why the name Tetso was taken. And only afterwards we realized, I think my father realized, and then other people mentioned that it's also a Chakasan title. Then next thing you know, I heard there is a uh, singing famous group that calls themselves the Tetso Sisters, and and people started calling Tetso College College instead. So, but otherwise, the name was is from a Ringma dialect, and it was chosen because it means top. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. My question is, for the college, it has been a long journey and there's a lot to go more. Since Tetso College has already crossed 25th anniversary, through this journey, we are pretty sure there must have been many upsides down. So can you highlight on some challenging obstacles the college faced and had to overcome, which in turn can be a lesson for us?
Okay, great question. So yeah, we've crossed 25 years, and yes, there have been a lot of challenges. You know, I recall right now there have been at least two student strikes. Um, there have been one instance when all the college buildings were completely blown down. Okay, I'm gonna try to see if I can present something over here. 25 years, right? So let's see. I'm going to share. Okay, I'm just gonna share some pictures here. Can you guys see this? Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. We can see that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So our principals over here, 25 years, the challenges and stuff. Then these are some of the instructions that were happening. So, when you're talking about challenges and the problems, what was the largest, the most difficult? I think the most difficult has been probably when people don't believe in your vision. Okay, I remember there were times when, especially in the starting, for everybody, normal problems like there could be strikes, there could be problems, managing people, things. These are normal problems of um, every single organization. But I think the biggest challenge would be to keep your own spirits up, because there have been, of course, times like in any organization when there are ups, there are downs. And then the biggest challenge is selling your vision about what Tetso College is. So now we see what it is today. But in the beginning, at 1994, when you had only, say, these thatched buildings, when you had no buildings, and then there was a storm where all the buildings were blown down. Okay, so basically there were no classrooms. There was at one point there was one incident like that. Then I recall one very challenging situation where I remember, and I came back in 2010. The year that I came back was yeah, it was in 2010, and we started implementing some large scale changes. One of the biggest thing was stopping this collection of membership fees and fee collection. Unfortunately, the college um, had a student council for many years where there were actually instances where funds were mismanaged to a, and at the same time when we were trying to implement those changes in order to bring some transparency into fund use and things like that, there was a student strike, and that was the first year that I came in. And that was, first of all was, I guess what was so challenging was, first of all, was coming and then managing a group of teachers who I had never met, who didn't know me, and um, who probably had a certain work culture. Then the second part again was managing the students, and managing the students. And during that time, because of change being brought in so fast, obviously people have difficulty adjusting. So immediately there was a student strike, which of course students, where we were, of course, basically it was a situation where the students were protesting, but in the end, it didn't have any impact. And then during that period, I remember some of our teachers stepping out, me stepping out, and basically, while one group of students was preventing people from entering the campus, there's, had to go out and basically talk to the students. Our teachers were going and talking to the students and just convincing them. And basically, we just had to resort to a situation where we said, okay, those who want to come into the college, you can walk in. The rest who don't come in, you'll be expelled. 6 people didn't walk in. They were expelled. After that, there hasn't been a student strike for the past, I don't know, 10 years since then. But that was the first, that was the last. I think that was one of the most challenging parts in the beginning, because even though we're trying to implement certain things and to bring transparency, the way we communicate probably is not being understood by everybody. And these changes, because of these changes that are happening so fast, because of these changes that are happening so fast, I guess, people either will be going against you, they don't agree with you, and that keeps on happening. The thing again, I would say, which is been very difficult, is also knowing when we're wrong. The thing is, we do not believe that we are right all the time. I think the only thing we can be sure about is that nobody knows anything. Everybody can be wrong, and anybody can be right also. The question is, how do we take a decision, or how do we recognize what are the right decisions and which are the wrong ones? And I would say in the course of this, I guess, there have been many times when there have been difficulties. I don't think that I don't think that it's over. I think more will be coming. At the same time, I think there have been difficult. There'll be many situations again where we're going to have to try to weigh and try to see which was the right one. And it's only in hindsight, say maybe after a few years, we can look back and say that was a right decision, that was a wrong decision. Where Tetso College is today maybe is because we've made more right decisions. We've handled the difficult situations correctly more times than we've handled it incorrectly. So I can't say that we have handled every situation perfectly well. I can't say we've handled every situation incorrectly as well. But if we're strong and we're a reputed institute today, it's because we've probably made more right decisions than more wrong ones. So difficult situations, particular incidences, I would not say there's any one of them, but it's a continuous process and which we're still learning. Yep. So thank you. I'm not sure if that answered your question. It might be easier to type some of it. The voices keep breaking. Go ahead.
Okay, so coming to education, there are many situations rising for the colleges due to the pandemic. The common issue is the online classes, which was once a solution instead of face-to-face traditional classes. But at present, there are some of people who are advising not to take online classes, which they feel not appropriate, especially students which they feel not, especially students at the rural areas, since they are unable to get the required tools to attend online classes. As a director, how do you plan to prepare for your students? Is the college ready to tackle that?
Thanks for that question. Yeah, I think I have very strong opinions on this. Um, Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, again, this is not something which anybody can plan for, and that includes us. Nobody can plan for a situation where it's like, okay, in case the whole world shuts down, we continue with classes. And that's a situation which every single educational institute is facing right now. The government is not prepared, the boards are not prepared, the university is not prepared, the students are not prepared, and of course the teachers are also not prepared on handling this. Now, I don't think there is even one person who would say that online classes are better than the in-person classes. Everybody, prefers having face-to-face interaction rather than having these virtual classes. Nobody wants virtual classes. Okay, so that is one thing. Now, having said that, is there any other option? We cannot all of a sudden say to everybody and say that because of this situation and because a few students cannot join the online classes, let us stop all classes and freeze. If we, Tetso College, decide because a few classes students cannot join, we have to stop it completely, will the rest of the world also stop? Will if you are 18 years old right now, then next year will you also be 18 years? You're not going to be 18 years. You're going to be 1 year next year. The world is still moving on, and and the world is not going to stop and wait for Nagaland. The world is not going to stop and wait for a particular village or town. The world will keep on going on, and whether we like it or not, we have to find some solution to try to catch up. Unfortunately, that is how that is the situation of right now. And while nobody wants online classes, if there is an alternative, I think everybody would do it. Okay, so I don't think the issue is actually online classes, and we shouldn't make this into an issue of online class or no online classes. We need to just be asking a question: what can we do to make sure education continues? How do we ensure that education continues and our students do not lose out in a year? Because when your classes start now, your classes will still have to end at the same time. You are going to be completing this year, and it's going to have to end by next year. Now, what are you going to be learning, or how are you going to be learning during this time? We can keep on sending you notes, or we could try to create video lessons. But in the end, the university still has to conduct an exam. In the end, people have to graduate and find jobs, or the companies and industries cannot function. If the companies and industries cannot function, then in that case, who's there to pay taxes? How is the government supposed to function? So everything is tied, and and the world has to keep going on. So each of us, in our own responsibilities, we have to try to work to try to make sure that the world and life continues. Because you are only going to be 18 once, you're only going to be 19, 20, whatever age you are. You're also going to receive this education, and you're going to graduate from it, in one way or another. I'm giving you an example of my sister because she has graduated, and she finished her semester online. She could not attend a physical graduation ceremony as well. And that's going to be the same case with our own students. What are after our 6 semester students appear the exam and graduate, they're going to have to find a job and continue life. Now the thing is, for those people who cannot join the online classes, unfortunate as it may seem, but we have to also, those people also need to think whether they can afford to give a gap for 1 year and then catch up the next year. But for those people who are not able to, the rest of the world is probably, honestly speaking, the rest of the world is not going to wait for you. They have to find a way. And I hope that our government, all the companies providing internet connectivity or whatever, improves that. And I hope that we can find some option so that all these people who have difficulties, connecting, don't miss out. I'm gonna give you an example of what we're planning to do for Tetso College. So we have already changed the routine to make it less strenuous. So for the coming session, we're trying to ensure that there will be class one day, then the next day there will be a gap. Every single class is going to be recorded so that those students who don't have a good connection will be able to view recordings of the class in their own time. Okay. And at the same time, we have tried to make sure that the routine does not go like the physical class routine where you have a subject every day, but there are more gaps. Also, the periods would be reduced. This is because I think it's very difficult to be staring at a screen for so many hours and giving your full 100%. We have consulted with all our deans, our teachers, our HODs, and we've taken this feedback. We've been giving out surveys to all our students so that we can try to understand where the connectivity problem is. At the same time, we have not rushed to reopen so that we can plan properly. And even after reopening, first, we want to start with orientation. The orientation is lengthy, but this will give us time to study and see which students are able to log in and which students are not. And we are taking our time to restart classes so that when we restart, we can identify students who are able to connect online, who have the right infrastructure to go at a certain pace. And maybe we could try to segregate some other students and work out a different type of learning system for those other students. So what's happening here is that our college is just trying to adapt to the pandemic, to adapt change. I think complaining about the situation is not going to solve the problems. So in the end, we have to look at what factors we can control and try to change to make sure that education can continue so that there is no negative impact, and that the educational opportunities are equal for everyone that is enrolled in our college. So those are some steps we're taking. At the same time, that we have introduced things like Coursera. We're already looking at other options, and very soon we are rolling out something called basically a new learning management system. So you will be using your existing college ID to log in, and it'll be a one-stop place where you'll be able to find your Google Classroom, be able to find your fees, be able to find your timetable, everything. So that will be launched probably, our IT team is already hard at work, and it'll probably launch within this month after orientation or so. So our college is not sitting still. We are adapting, we're changing. I can't say, what's going to happen in case the situation changes again. In August, we could be having some more changes. So what we need right now is cooperation from everybody. That is, everybody in the Tetso family needs to work together on this, because everybody has the same goal. Everybody has the same mission to empower people towards lifelong excellence. And I think all of us know that we want every one of our people to create a positive impact in the world. So that's again a long answer for your question. And so I'd love to take questions on any of these topics again if you need more, um, or would like more details, or I couldn't answer your question. Okay.
Okay, so Tetso College is ready to tackle this situation. So my next question is, Tetso had advancement in various fields, as you rightly mentioned that the college is ready to tackle this issue. So our state has about 61 colleges affiliated to Nagaland University. Among them, there are very good colleges as well. They have been persistent in bringing quality education. That's so different, or why would you recommend one to choose Tetso over the other colleges in Nagaland?
Hmm. Hey, thanks. That's a very good question. I don't think it would be right on my part to say that this college is better or that college is better, because whatever I say, people would think I'm partial to Tetso College again. And you can't fault that, because since I'm director of the college, uh, my answer would just be biased. But what I have to say is, every college is unique, and where our college is different is because of our mission and our vision. Um, you need to know why a college exists and why a college is doing that. So if you look at Tetso College, our mission is to empower people towards lifelong excellence. That is why we have so many activities to empower our students. We have so many activities so that they get that exposure, and then we are also providing platforms where, like, the degree of thought weekly, the weekly column that comes out in the Morong Express. We have created a website called Dot Talks, where we're publishing our students' work. We are conducting a faculty development program that's coming up, and we conduct national seminars. All of these things are to try to create some positive impact in our society. And, at the same time, sorry about that. I clicked the wrong button. I want to show you one thing, another way in which we're trying to create a positive impact in the world. An example, of something that we're coming up. We're going to be releasing it shortly, so all of you are going to see it right now. So, okay, I'm going to. Okay, I'm going to present my screen again. So this is okay. So you can see my screen. So we are another way of how we're trying to create a positive impact society. We're coming out with a journal of the Plague Project that some of our students have already started sharing. Now the thing is, we want to put this out into not just the Nagaland domain, but we want to take it out all over to the Northeast and even to India, to try to get entries from students all over the country and try to create a record. Because what we're experiencing right now during this pandemic is something that's going to be read in history, something that you will be able to tell your children and tell the younger generations, because you're experiencing something that has not been experienced by anyone in the past 100 years. So what we're living through is we're living through history, and we're trying to use this to document, to research, and to maybe we could bring out something towards this, so that and this is one way we feel that we could try to create a positive impact in our society, so that we can document how it's affecting our Naga society. We are going to be collecting basically newspaper articles, news clippings, maybe official notifications, and try to create something over here with this journal. And so that maybe in future, 10, 20 years down the line, researchers could probably reference it, or maybe some of you who are doing your research or who eventually do your research could probably reference it. But I mean, that's an example of us trying to live by our mission. So when you're trying to choose a college or an institute, okay, I think you need to know where that institute is going, because in the end, when you graduate from here, okay, and you join the workforce, then it's not all about what the reputation of the institute was while you were studying at that point. I'm saying 10 years from now, the reputation of Tetso College 10 years from now is going to be your reputation when you're joining the workforce. So if Tetso College's reputation is known for being, research oriented, if it's known for being technologically savvy, then when you're joining the workforce 10 years from now, people are going to say, oh, you're from Tetso. That means you're strong technically. You know how to use email, you know how to use all these IT tools. So 10 years from now, if our college is making all the right moves now, and you're choosing this college right now, then you're probably making the right choice. If we're able to fulfill those mission and vision, then I think you need to be looking at where colleges are going, what's happening, because the stronger the reputation is, the stronger your reputation is. And so every single student studying in our college right now, whether you like it or not, you have the Tetso tag on. Now, depending on what you do, either the reputation of the college will grow, or which means your reputation also grows, or it will fall if you're doing the wrong things. Okay. So when choosing a college, with all the colleges here in Nagaland, there are many great institutes. What is unique about us is the way we approach our mission and our vision. I've given you a few examples, and I'm telling you that this is just the beginning, because the rest has to be done by our alumni, our students, and our teachers, and it will be done. I have no doubt on it. I think now, these days at least, for the past 5 or 6 years, we've been consistently securing gold medals, and we're now attracting the brightest students every year to our college. So I have no doubt that in the next 10 years, where Tetso College is going to be at a different level. And those of you studying over here, will be contributing towards Tetso College's growth and contributing towards Tetso College's mission to create a positive impact. And I have no doubt that each of you will take the opportunities over here and empower yourself and make sure that this question on which college you should choose is answered through your actions and what you do. Thank you.
Right, so much the answers. The project which our college is starting, I think, which will be very beneficial in the future, and especially for the researchers and as well as the intellectual. I'm looking forward to details. And the next question, which is being continuous to ask ourselves, even I do that, and I think this is questions to you. And so the question is, do you see that college in 10 years?
Okay. Sorry, I didn't get that. You said.
I hope I am. Yeah, the question is, where do you see Tetso College in 10 years?
Okay. Yeah. So I think in years I see us as a college anymore. I think we have to be a university by then. We don't want to become autonomous too early. I think we want to move towards a situation where we are introducing vocational specific courses. So anybody studying over here is able to get a job. At the same time, anybody. So 10 years from now, I would like to have a lot more professional courses. We would love to introduce things like law. We should be able to introduce a science stream. I think Tetso College has to be in a position to be able to help our state, or at least fill in the gaps that we're say in the education space. So 10 years from now, still, it's something to think about, but I hope by then, either we have really good engineering colleges or medical colleges by then. But wherever there is a gap, 10 years from now, especially if it's in the education sector, I think Tetso College has to be there. In the coming year, we are looking at introducing computer applications and at the same time, most likely linguistics. So a BCA and a linguistics course could be up, and maybe another PG course if permission is granted. But we need to keep on moving in that direction, and I think I hope that in 10 years again, our college has a stronger industry tie-up. So we should be in a position where we are working with industry and working with society, where teachers are, say, advisors to the government, or our students are right up there with receiving the highest pay packages, and we should be boasting. I mean, we should be having our MBA program all set and run. So a lot of things, there's a lot of work to be done. But in 10 years from now, I hope that we are able to take the leap and move stronger and be in a better position to create positively to our society. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir, you answer. There is the question. Thank you, sir, for the answer first. And as you have mentioned that the college is not in yet thinking of to be autonomous or university, can you tell us why the college is not yet like planning to be autonomous or to be in the university later on?
Sure. So that's a good question. I think right now, when the institute becomes autonomous, it requires a lot of expansion, and it becomes both a headache and it also becomes an advantage. When you're autonomous, basically it means your own faculty will be the ones devising the syllabus, and at the same time evaluations would be done internally, and then you are going to have to deal directly, say, with UGC. So when you're autonomous, the regulatory, in terms of regulations, they are a bit more stringent. So for example, for almost anything, you'd have to follow certain UGC guidelines to, say, to introduce a subject. You'd have to bring in people from, I think, multiple universities in order to make changes in your syllabi, this, that. So it becomes a bit more tedious. It becomes easier when you're not autonomous for us, depending on the size. Say, for example, if Nagaland University syllabus or things, everything is local over here. So I'm saying that the reason why we would prefer to not go autonomous right now is because it's easier right now to, say, deal directly with Nagaland University and let them handle the interaction with UGC. In case we are autonomous, it's not just Nagaland University anymore. We're going to have to deal directly with Delhi. And before we get into all of that, it can actually tie up things. Now, institutions of a certain size, which are more independent, which have more financial capability as well, then if they feel that they're ready, they can go ahead. So it doesn't mean that an institute is autonomous means that the institute is better, or it doesn't mean that if it's not autonomous, it's not as good. But it gives flexibility. So when an institute is autonomous, we can introduce certain things different from Nagaland University. So if Nagaland University, say, for example, is not introducing a course on football, then we could come up with a curriculum and then introduce it ourselves. I mean, that's just one example. So I would say that it's autonomy or non-autonomy is not actually a seal of quality, a stamp of quality. Okay, but it's a stage in an institution when the institution says they want to take up more responsibility directly or have more control in their curriculum and things. So we will go there eventually, but I think it's not something that we have to do right now, because whatever is not, say, Nagaland University's syllabus, whatever changes they need, we're able to give our recommendations to Nagaland University. We're able to work with the university. And so Basically, I'm saying that if you're doing an MA program at Tetso College, it's actually an MA program with Nagaland University. So whether you're doing MA with NU or MA over here, it's the same university, the same syllabi. So I'm just saying that's an example, because we're basically following the syllabus, the guidelines, the instructions of a central university. So being under that, there's really no, we don't really, unless we want to do something different from what Nagaland University is doing, it doesn't make sense to jump right now. And I mean, it's quite there are many other factors as well, but after a certain stage, though, that is something that of course we want to pursue, and then something that we will probably go into. So I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. So this will be the last question for today's session. What will you suggest the young youth of Nagaland, whether to get a degree and seek for jobs, or to start off with your own business, or if you have any free advice for the youths?
Good question. I think so. Again, like related to the question where I was talking about how you choose your college based on the mission and vision, I think you need to choose your job based on what you want to do. Now, the thing is, when we're looking at government service, you're actually looking at a job where you can try to help people. You're looking at a job to be a government servant, which means basically to help the public. Now, if you're looking at business, whenever you're looking at business, you are trying to solve a problem for society and let people pay you for it. Okay, so if you're going into business, remember why you're going into business. You're going into business because you're trying to solve a problem. Now, if you're solving a problem, say for example, let's say you start a chow and momo stall. Okay, you are solving a problem of hunger. You're solving a problem, someone's problem. They want to have Chinese food, and so that's why they will buy chow or momo from you. So you've managed to solve that problem. Okay, if you set up a business towards that, you're solving that problem, and at the same time they're paying you money for it. Okay, so remember that if you're doing business, you're basically trying to solve a problem, and eventually, if you're able to solve that problem well, that's how you become rich. Business, if you want to earn money, then the thing is there are so many different avenues to earn money. Now, but if you're gonna go for government service, then it's not about making money. Now, if you're thinking to get into government service because of the huge amounts of side income you get, then that's not going to work. Things are getting more transparent. Income tax laws are there, and that era of side income from the thing, you don't need to risk getting side income through government service and risking yourselves going to jail. If money is what you want, then there are more than enough options in business to get that. If you're joining government service, it means you want to help the people. I'm giving you an example of the IAS. Okay, if you do get into the IAS, it's very difficult, but you are going to be posted in almost, say for example, if it's Nagaland, you're going to be posted in every single district and interior part, and you will be posted in maybe in different departments. If you're posted in any government service, they, especially those through competitive exams, most of the time you're transferred and put into different locations so that you can get an idea of how say the different areas of the state work. It also, there's a lot of positive and good things that you can do when you're working in the government. Now the thing is, whenever you're getting a question on whether you want to do government service or whether you want to do business, you also need to understand that you're also looking at society's perspective, because our society is not one that has seen much successful businessmen. Our society has seen a lot of government servants. And that's why if you go into your regions, your areas, or we talk about, if you go into any of those, then you're going to find a lot of people, especially in the interior parts and elder seniors, only familiar with government service. So maybe that's why there's that fascination for it, because there hasn't been enough exposure. Now, for each of you, you need to decide what you want to do. If it's money that you're after, business. And then if it's not necessarily money, but you want to solve problems and help people, you can go into business as well. But if you want to be in a position where you can help society, make the place better, then of course, while both jobs do it, government service specifically could probably give you that option. But a lot of the avenues are through competitive exams, so you have to understand the path towards it. But you can do positive things in any profession. So understand why you're going for that. Government service also is not just one type. There's so many different types. Same thing like business. Okay, so just understand what you want. So I talk too much. Okay, so, and I'll be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, sir, for all the valuable answer. I'm sure everybody has grabbed the valuable knowledge through your experiences and through your ideas and opinions you have discussed with us today. Thank you, sir, once again. Now we will give the time for the attendees to ask if they have any question to ask. You can turn on your mic if you have any questions, or you can type it on the chat box.
Yep, looks like I answered everything.
Hello,
Yeah,
sir.
hello.
I have a question for you. Right now, you are managing as a director of this college. Very fantastic way you are managing the college. We are proud of that. But we know that you have other area also you are managing. So my question will be like, how you are prioritizing those things? How you are balancing that many?
Yeah. Thanks, Ahmad. So, it's just because we have a fantastic team. We've got fantastic teachers. We've got a great team behind, and that's the reason why I'm able to say shift focus now. I think our departments, our different areas are all maturing. We also have very capable people managing things. I think my suggestion to each one of you is, it helps a lot if you're starting a business or going into something like this, then you have to understand every single aspect of your business. So it doesn't mean that, and when you're an employee, when you go and do a job, then say, for example, let's say you're an accountant, then you learn only account stuff. Then let's say, for example, if you're a teacher, you start learning only about teaching. But then say, for example, if you are managing the whole thing, you have to know a little bit about accountancy. You got to know a little bit about teaching. You got to know a little bit about transport, maintenance, a little bit. I'm just saying, so if you're a business owner, for example, there is no option for you not to know that. Okay, so for everybody who wants to be an entrepreneur or business, it means you have to actually know almost every single aspect. I'm not saying that I know all of it, but you, in the end, in order to manage this, basically you need people, say, who you can trust. And then the thing about trust is that it doesn't happen in one day or 1 year. The most important thing about managing this type of thing is you need to understand that it's not going to happen one day. First, you're going to have to first understand yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, and then you're going to need people who you can rely on, people who rely on you. And then only when something like that is there can you start diversifying. I'm very proud to say that I have a fantastic team. I have a fantastic family, which is supportive, and I'd have to say that it is because of this fantastic team, which is why Tetso College is now going this way, is because of this fantastic team that I've been able to diversify into finance. The reason I got into finance though was because when I was working with Franklin Templeton Investment, so I was always into finance that time. I've just got more free time now that things are set. We've automated a lot of processes, and then at the same time, our I'm just giving you an example. If you look at our office staff, Esther, she's been with us by over 7 years right now. If I look at our teaching staff, I mean, we have people who have been there for 7 to 10 years already. And so we have a lot of people who have been with us for a while, and now a certain trust has also been built. And because of these people, Tetso College is what it is right now. And I think our alumni and our students, they always recommend this college to their friends, family. They're very happy over here, and they keep on doing that, and that keeps on happening. I think that's the reason why things are easier and have been able to delegate, because of the trust that we have. Thanks for the question, Amar.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I see one question over here. Should I just take it?
Okay, we have 2 questions from Kilanakshi IR. The first question is, so what's your favorite book as an entrepreneur?
That's a very good question. I think I have authors which I don't miss out in. I really like Seth Godin. I really like Malcolm Gladwell. But I think the first book which really had an impact and is a philosophy that we're following over here in our college is Jim Collins' Good to Great. And I really like that book because it talks about level 5 leaders. I think that's what it says. And we are trying to adopt that philosophy. There's a training that we've also started inducting, another management by Patrick Lencioni. His books are great as well on teaching some basics of management. So, but I would say I think one of my favorite books has been Jim Collins' Good to Great, and I reference it. I bought extra copies in the library. I have my own copy right here in my office. I have another copy at home, and that talks a lot about the direction and our strategy in which we want to go. So, if you want to see how Tetso managed to grow that way, it's also because that is the good to great philosophy is what we're trying to follow. Regarding the secret about time management skill, that is the most difficult thing because I am terrible with time management, and I still don't know. I either spend too much time in the office, or if I have free time and I start playing video games, I'm a gamer, by the way, then I spend too much time playing video games, and then I don't sleep enough. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. But I'd have to say that once you have a routine, once you have a routine set, like for example, that you have to come to college every day at 9 and then you leave at 2, then we just start functioning in that way. You automatically become alert. Now the problem with this pandemic is that everybody is starting to feel lazy. You're sitting at home. You don't know when to wake up, and nobody may be, forcing you to do anything. So then you become lethargic. If you don't have a place where you're just going, then it just becomes more difficult. So on time management, setting a routine, set up a time where you have to practice at that, at what time you have to wake up, make sure you get enough sleep, that's it, and then you use those 24 hours. So, because everybody has the same 24 hours, but some people go from here to here, some people stay from here, some people go even lower. And it just depends on what everybody does with that 24 hours. If it's not like I have more time than you guys, or you have more time than me, it's about what we do with that time, right? So that's the only thing. We need to know what we want and use that time for that. Thanks for the question.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
the next question.
Yeah, I think there is no more questions for the session, and since the time is running out, I think we should wind up from here. Again, I want to thank you so much, sir, for making your valuable time and sharing with us. And even our principal, Dr. P.S. Lauren, is here. Thank you so much for sir for joining us, our sessions, and all the attendees. Thank you so much for making this a successful session. So we hope that we will be getting more of these kind of sessions of having an interactive with the intellectuals from different areas of walks of life. So thank you once again to all the attendees, and thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitalu. Thank you, EBA department. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure.